Hi everyone and welcome to the second iteration of my Consecrated Ground spamming Paladin guide. The first version was a bit long and a bit too much rambling about, so I tried to be more concise this time. Gameplay showcases are in the description, so maybe you want to take a look if this build is for you. And well, let's start. So this build is just about attack speed and spamming judgment, which creates Consecrated Ground. Now, why not save all the mana and just make big chunks of Consecrated Grounds? The reason I decided to make this build is because they nerfed Pious Offering in the last patch, I think, and they buffed, I guess it was this node. So builds that don't rely on mana, on bumping up their mana and spending it with one big blow, tend to get a bit weaker, and builds that didn't tend to get a bit stronger. So I thought I'd give it a try. So I made a build that revolves around spamming judgment. And the first note we have to take for this is that these are only necessary passing skills, because this removes our cooldown. Then modifier, damage modifier, multiplicative, one more point than we need as a passing skill, because we want to reduce the mana cost a bit to spam it more. 1 point, exactly 1 point in Frenzy, because we are going to have it on us anyway, all the time. 4 points in here, 3 points in here for more area. This will scale also nicely with our Flame Burst. I will talk about that later. One option you have now is basically this side is set in stone. These are the best damage modifier you can have. Now, this is multiplicative damage, but you can also remove these points and these points. These are 7 points, and put 2 here and 5 here, and now you have a longer duration, which of course is basically an indirect damage multiplier, because if a spell, if the Consecrated Ground lingers double the time, it deals double the damage. And since we are stacking it, it's a damage multiplier. That's about it for the judgment tree, nothing special. Again, this is a must-have, because this removes the cooldown. Now, because we are a damage over time spec, we want to have volatile reversal, of course, with a standard damage buff tree, I should say. This and this for reducing cooldown, this for the multiplicative damage over time, this for the multiplicative damage, and the rest is basically only passing through skills. Now, we want to use... let's talk about Vengeance first. Vengeance is not a damage spell for us, a damage skill, but it's only used for regenerating mana through this and through this, because we need some mana to spend for our judgment. If we don't generate mana, we can't cast judgment. So we want to have this 25% less damage and 50% increased armor. We want to have attack speed and global more damage multiplier, and this for an additional riposte and this for an additional riposte. And that's basically it. We want to have this because it gives reduced stun duration, and we are using Heirloom of the Last Nomad, which offsets the negative effect of the Heirloom a bit. So now we want to have Holy Aura, because we want to have Flame Burst. Because since we don't spend all our mana with one big blow, we don't kill instantly. Instead, we are stacking up, which takes a bit time, like 1.5 2 seconds, depending on how strong the mob is. So we need a bit of instant kill speed against smaller trash packs, and Flame Burst provides exactly this. So we want to have basically this all maxed out. We want to have multiplicative damage, attack speed, and a bit endurance. We don't care for the elemental resistance, at least not in the end state of this build. Now, Healing Hands is a bit of a special case, because we take it instead of a movement spell, because we want to have Shield Rush to move the map faster, and Shield Rush doesn't really benefit in the movement department from taking any skill points into it. So to be much more tankier and to have another instance of melee hit, for Flame Burst we take Healing Hands. Cleric's Hammer to proc it whenever we hit someone with a melee attack. Doesn't have to be a fire attack, just a melee attack. This whole tree, these two just passing through, and this to make it a melee attack, because Flame Burst only procs off of melee attacks. I think so. Yeah. This gives a nice buff and debuff. Damage versus undead 10% and damage taken versus undead 10%. The same for Void. And then just here points that it doesn't cost any mana, and here so we heal ourselves more, because every time we proc it we heal ourselves, and because we scale what it's called, healing effectiveness, it's a nice for judgment anyway, because it provides damage. It's a very nice synergy. So we are really tanky, really regenerative, and yeah, that's about it I think for the skills. For passive points, we want to have the attack speed, of course. On the way to it, we want to have, of course, this 10 mana per hit of Vengeance, a bit vitality, block chance. This is a really nice talent if you have high block, I think. I don't see many people taking it, but I think it's a decent talent. And here, of course, a bit recovery speed for movement skills, and damage taken from nearby enemies reduced, of course. Now, here is basically only tankiness, except yeah, well, it's actually a mixed bag. It's okay. We take a bit multiplicative damage from here, block chance, HP and healing effectiveness. Now we need at least 2 points here because of the blight chance, because we are using Snowblind. And the endurance is nice to fix our endurance a bit. Here, of course, spell damage with a shield, because Consecrated Ground scales off spell damage. And here to fix our necrotic resistance a bit. Here really great value, I think, base armor and spell damage, and more block chance, and this is simply for the HP. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because we want to have this talent, because we deal more damage per 1 mana cost, and this doesn't include the Pious Offering, because it says mana consumed, but the plus 40 mana cost. So currently we are about 85 mana cost with the Judgment, and that means that we have 19% damage increase, more damage. Excuse me, not increased, more damage, which is a great value for 5 points. Now, is it worth to go that deep into the tree? And I think, because you can take a lot of talents, a lot of passives that you would take in a similar way, that provide similar advantages in this tree, mainly HP, like putting here points, for example, we can go that deep into the tree. Because here we pick up health, here we pick up health and stun avoidance. Stun avoidance is important for us. A bit block, this is a little bit of a one-point wonder, I think, because at max stacks it provides 150 base armor, which is quite nice. And this for the strength, a bit more armor, and increased melee attack speed with a sword. Here a bit health and resistance fixing going on, and of course picking up volatile reversal. And that's about it. Now onto the items. Where do I start? We want to have Transcriber's Graver as a frame, I should say. Why? It's clearly not a Paladin item, but it's as a frame. I think it's a pretty nice mid-game option because it provides multiplicative damage in the elemental penetration. It provides spell damage, and yeah. But the main thing we care about is that it's a sword and that it has an attack rate of 1.2, because this talent, of course, gives only attack speed with sword and axes, and the attack speed, as it is explained here, the base attack speed of a weapon actually scales with increased attack speed multiplicatively. So we want to have a weapon that is as fast as possible, and that's what Transcriber's Graver is, with one exception. There's one faster weapon. As stats, we want to have melee attack speed, chance to chill on hit. That's basically the important stuff, and then you can fill it up with spell damage, health on melee hit, or fire penetration. The chill on hit is important for Snowblind, because it says 20% more armor against chilled enemies, as well as 20% more armor against blinded enemies. That's why we took this. And that's basically it for the weapon. Yeah, we want to use Snowblind because it's I think they changed it, or I just didn't notice how good it is, but I think they changed it. It's pretty decent now. You get, if you utilize both blind and chill, you get 40% more, not increased, but more armor. It's great. As stats, this one is a bit messed up, because I got one stat totally wrong and one only tier 3. So we want to have T5 healing hands, of course. We want to have attunement. We want to have reduced bonus damage taken from critical strike and armor, and we want to have, as a tier 7, want to have increased health, because we want to be really tanky. Because we are going to push high corruption, and we need just tankiness a lot. For our body armor, we want to have as a base these the champion regalia, because of the armor mitigation applies to damage over time, because that's really huge. We want to have as stats, of course, as high as you can get, mana gained when using vengeance. And for the other stats, we want to have increased health and added health. You see, I don't even have a second prefix here, because no one sells these things, apparently, which is a shame, but the high mana roll is so important that I settled for one without attunement instead of a lower roll with attunement. As a shield, we actually don't want to have Rise Light, at least I don't want to have it, because I like consistency, and Bulwark of the Last Abyss is a problem fixer, like a set it and forget it, because of the high block chance it has in the explicit and as an extra roll. So you get one LP, slap tier 7 blockchains on it, and get the blessing with blockchains. And now, bam, you have 99% block chance. And with the idols you have decent block effectiveness. This is not 63 actually, because it's reduced by enemies in the area. This is in a mono, this is 52 I think percent. As gloves we want to have wing guards because of the attack speed it provides, and the downside, you cannot deal critical strikes, is meaningless to us because Consecrated Ground of course can't crit. As a prefix we want to have attack speed of course, melee attack speed, tier 7, and a bit of health. This should be hybrid health though. It's simply better than added health, but I didn't get the roll. Now, speaking about problem fixer items, this is basically what these shoes are. It's pretty nice, increased fire damage, and yeah, fire penetration from ignite is nice, but we don't use ignite. What this item is about is that you get an extra movement speed roll in the implicit and in the legendary, and then unique I should say, and then of course your legendary potential. And it gives you a huge number of reduced bonus damage taken from critical strikes, so you need only one other mod with that. Need to be only tier 5, not tier 6 or tier 7, so you're set and done, and you have your crits solved. As stats we want to have increased movement speed, tier 7 if possible, and this added health should be hybrid health as well. For our ring we want to have Heirloom of the Last Nomad, because it fixes a lot of problems for us. It gives us cold resistance, which we need a bit, and void resistance, which we also need, and on top of that it gives a huge amount of health, like 2 rolls on a usual item. Yeah, the downside is you get 90% increased duration of stuns received in our case, but this is offset by the fact that we use Vengeance, which has 30% reduced stun duration, and we take stun avoidance as well as in the passives, as I showed you. So this isn't that much of a downside. It works quite well. Sometimes it's a bit annoying, but it's perfectly fine. I would say the strengths outweigh the weaknesses of this item. Now as a belt, we want to have probably a Praetorian belt. You can take a Spider Silk as well, but I think this fits very well since we scale with armor. So we want to have tier 7 increase elemental damage over time. We want to have cleanse, which is very important. It's high corruption, because poison kills. And we actually only need a tier 1 roll, because the chance to cleanse or ailments on potion use is always 100%. For defensive stats we want to have probably, this is also not good rolled, we want to have hybrid health, and instead of the increased health, probably we want to have health and stun avoidance. Maybe instead of the hybrid health, I didn't do the math on that, but it will be in the build guide I will provide. I mean the Last Epoch Tools guide that I will link into the description. As a second ring, we want to have a coral ring for the vitality implicit to fix our resistances. We want to have here a tier 7, of course, elemental damage over time roll, and healing effectiveness. We want to have health and physical resistance, because we need to fix that. Here it's basically the same. We want to have elemental damage over time, tier 7, healing, increased healing effectiveness and health. And now to the amulet. We want to have this is also not perfect. This tier 7 should be elemental damage over time. And then a tier 5 healing effectiveness. We want to have poison rest, and we want to have health and stun avoidance. Now to the idols. We want to have these big chunky idols with healing effectiveness and block effectiveness, because the shield, as much as I like it, doesn't provide a lot of block effectiveness. Throne of Ambition, of course, and here more health and stun avoidance. What I forgot to say about the shield, Riot's Light looks nice, but it has a lot more less block chance, so I like the consistency of Bulwark of the Last Abyss. That's basically it for the items, so let's move on to the blessings. We want to have spell damage leech as health, because this is spell damage, of course, and we are already very regenerative, so it might be a bit overkill, but the nice thing is we are only healing ourselves when we are attacking, usually, or we are standing in the Consecrated Ground. But when we are moving from pack to pack, you can just drop one and walk to the next, and drop one and walk to the next, so we get constantly healed. That's a very nice thing about the spell damage healed as health, leech as health. We want lightning resistance just to fix that. We want all resistances, of course. We want the block chance, because we want, yeah, of course, high block chance. Nearly capped, and we want to have fire threat, because it's just a huge amount of damage multiplier we get, and that's about it, I guess. Is there anything we need to talk about? Yeah, maybe why no sigils? Yeah, sigils might be better mathematically. They provide a lot of good bonuses, like increased healing, fire damage, added fire damage. It's really great, but again, we since we need to have a bit of build-up time, we really need the snap damage. I would call it, from Flame Burst, the instant kill potential for small groups, which is defensively also good, because what's dead can't hurt you. Except it's a smoldering Lithrak, or how they are called. These are nasty. I think that should cover it. Again, gameplay showcases are in the description, as well as the build planner on Last Epoch Tools. And if there is interest in it, I can provide another video with more in-depth detail, and maybe some options I have. All you need to know is these aren't really options. I'm more or less just explaining, I would more or less just explain why they are not options. So this is the build you can go for. I pushed 2k corruption with it. This video will also be in the description. And yeah, I guess thank you for listening if you made it this far, and maybe we will see you again. See ya!